Is it recorded? All right, Gage. No.
Yep.
Howdy.
All right, roll call. Have Gage, Matt, Sandy, and Louie, 4 of us. This is the charter review meeting for Wednesday, September 6th. Get forth to the town manager's office. Minutes are gonna be for the next meeting. We haven't got them yet. Can't do anything with C19 405 powers of the board regarding budgets for the school department. We're waiting on the meeting with them, sort that out. Richard Angotti's not here to report on the municipal development section, Article 7 on C25 page. That'll be held till the next meeting as well.
I do have a comment on that.
You do.
Seeing as roles of individuals are going to be changing soon, I think it's vitally important, after having a discussion we had with legal, to potentially look into hiring outside help to look at doing the code. Me and Bob,
Review.
yes, yeah. Me and Bob spoke to legal, and I brought up that we were interested in doing the code, and he said that potentially hiring professional help would be the best route. There are companies that will go through your entire code for you and do it. I think it's vital that we do it, but maybe the best route is we do hire outside help, especially where it is like 700 pages of work.
It's unreal.
Yeah, and they fact check everything with the state of Maine law, with our charter. They'll do everything. So
Yeah, finding somebody that's done it with other towns helps.
correct.
Yeah.
So maybe that's something we can do. I would like to get the discussion started. I know we've already started talking about potentially doing it, but I don't think we need to go the route that I was originally planning. If
Maybe
that,
maybe when we do get to that section in here, the charter, we could probably specify a time frame for reviews.
oh, that's a good point too. Yeah, and I'd be fine with that as well. But my original idea of wanting to sit down and do it sounds like it would be a much better expedited process if we hired outside help who could do it professionally.
Well, they would want members on that team from local that may have worked on it or works with it, you know.
It wasn't specified when I legal. He just said outside help would be the better option.
Help, yeah, leadership. That's how it was built in the first place. Can't remember his name anymore. Fellow that passed away. He was real good at it. He'd done others.
And I would love to be a part of the discussion for it. I just joined. I would love to be a part of the discussion for it because I think it would be beneficial if they know the changes that we're making on the charter. And on top of the experience that we've had, I would just personally like to be a part of it. But after talking to legal, that was the direction I got for it. So I would like to omit the part that I discussed on making a new committee, a charter-based committee, and potentially doing what you said and make a time frame that the code needs to be updated.
Yeah, just set it in there. Yeah.
Yes. Obviously, we should wait till all the members are here.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm just putting it on my.
Yeah, but I am going to omit the original change that I had recommended.
Okay, good. Retract, huh?
Retract, yeah.
I have a question on that, just because I don't know the process. Obviously, these people don't do this free. What kind of charge are we looking at, and whose authorization within the town do we need?
We'd have to kind of budget it through the manager.
Yeah, it would have to go to the council if it was an expenditure throughout the year.
Yeah, the hire was made through the manager the last time. The original doing of the zoning that was passed by referendum. Yeah.
It's an expected future cost that we know and research is done prior to the end of budget workshops. Just build it into
Budget.
And I think that'd be a good route to go.
Like, that way, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to take an individual council order, but we
It could,
can understand that it'll be included and put it through in the actual budget,
it could be
maybe just.
a general budget item line called like document reviews. Cover the comprehensive plan if you need help with that, or
And as for cost, it's been a very, very, very long time since the code's been out. There's some stuff there. For the first time around, I would assume it's gonna be costly.
No, I'm not objecting to the cost. I just didn't know where that money would come from. Obviously, we have no money
here, but
dedicated to this committee.
there may be when it comes to the next step.
Right, I think it's definitely needed though, like, if you read the code,
Oh,
there's
no.
some major outdated stuff.
Well, and we're also laymen here.
And it's nothing that people wanted to talk about during the downturn of the economy here.
Right.
Now that we're gonna be starting to get out of that and hope to get some additional tax base. Be able to,
And legal brought up a really good point too. You know, going through the code, there is a potential that people look at it, and when they look at our code for building and stuff, they go, "Oh my God, it's 700 pages."
I'm not moving in here.
Absolutely crazy. Yeah, he said there is a chance that going through this can also attract businesses to town.
Yeah,
It makes it look like we're actually keeping our code book up to date. And two, there's, like I said, there's a lot of things outdated that don't make sense. And
I would assume it would also be a charge that's only incurred every 20-25. They're not gonna do this again next year.
no,
That's right.
if I had to make a recommendation, I would say every 10 years.
Yep, that sounds.
For the charter as
probably
well.
reasonable.
For the charter is, no, I think the charter should at least be freshened up once a year. Just looked over, just to make sure there's nothing major. And that way it keeps the committee. It
well,
doesn't necessarily mean they need to change anything. But maybe do a reading once a year, just to make sure there's no updates. And maybe.
I think sooner than 30 years would probably be a good idea, you know?
Are you saying that the charter is older than some of you?
It most certainly is, yep. And the fact that it hasn't been modified since we've
Well,
been
yeah,
alive
that's
is
what I
also
mean.
crazy. So,
yeah, zoning, oh, yeah. Well, comprehensive plan, I think is 5 years, you're by state.
yeah, well, it's supposed to be.
I know, we ought to get, on that.
So,
Not me specifically,
not you specific,
when I say the we, I mean the we out there.
okay, but yeah, that's my recommendation. Is that we either make a recommendation to the council or we get it put in for talks for.
Okay, so let's look up that, message from Sandy and.
Oh, Shelley?
So, yeah,
So for those that watch our stuff online, we have invited to come in and make comments on the charter for us. They took it upon themselves to read the whole charter, which I'm not complaining about. I'm super happy that they did. But they made comments on every section that involved them, which again,
what we're looking for.
I'm going to share the screen for those that want to view online. Well, maybe I will. Okay, so Matt, I hope you're feeling better. We met yesterday to review our portion of the charter. We came up to the following thoughts. I'm happy to attend to a meeting if it may be helpful.
Let's
So the first part is C-19-403.
look at them while we're going.
Yeah, it's
C-19. Yeah, and we can scribble here what we want, the point we may want to make with them.
so C-403, if for any reason a vacancy exists in the membership of the school board, it will be already voted the council until the next municipal election. Shelley's concern is, would the committee consider adding to include school board member and or superintendent in the nomination of a replacement to the school board? Being new to the system, can I ask the council has a process to fill vacant positions? Do you talk with prior board members? Look to those who may have run and not been elected, put it out to the public saying we have a position lasting X amount of time, blah, blah, blah. Contact X if you are interested in serving. There is a process in place right now. It does. We ran into this 3 times.
Already, we've appointed
Yeah.
school board members.
4 times, right? 4 times.
Well, one time was 2 members.
Right.
Yeah.
So there is a process currently in place. Now, is there any problem including a school board, like maybe the chair of the school board in the discussion? I know that that's a fine line because
Isn't she asking also whether we consider changing it to having them vote on it as well with the council?
nothing in this part of it. Being new to the system, can I ask if the council has a process to fill vacant positions? Do you talk with prior board members? Look to those who may have run to be elected, put it out to the public saying we have an open position lasting X amount of time, blah, 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 contact X if you're interested in serving. Nothing about voting.
So the
So reaching out for nominations is what she's really looking for.
That and
That-
if a member of the school board or her could be included in the replacement of a board member.
so the
And
thoughts,
no,
the opinions that were given to us, including the council, when we discussed this,
I'm gonna make notes.
what, like a year ago, was it? Well, the first appointment was after I stepped down from the school board to take this position. So the legal advice that was given is that the school board, if they were involved, it would be like they're, picking their own team kind of thing. And that was frowned upon.
yeah,
So it's
The other
almost like
stuff-
it's almost like a bias.
Yeah.
yes,
The other point to be made is that that would be similar to me questioning an applicant for appointment to the council, where I would be involved in picking my own boss.
that's right.
The main town city managers organization, at least, I don't know about any superintendent's rules or things, but we have a code of ethics that says we don't even sign nomination papers for people who are running for office locally. So that's just not a good idea in an attorney's eyes.
And that was my question, because I thought we had this discussion in the past on including school board members, and I could have sworn that exact conversation came up, is that it was like picking your own boss.
So no school advice.
Would it be possible though, you don't want a school board member, but to keep the peace here? Would it be possible to say, but we're willing to talk with you about what you think the requirements are, or?
Well, the requirements are already laid out in the nomination process. And they're laid out in the charter as well, just like the counselors are laid out in the charter. They follow the same thing we do.
Qualifications, yeah.
So the nominations we make at the charter level.
Yes, I know that.
Yeah, so,
The school board can't make any further requirements on somebody.
yeah, and that might be the answer to that one for her legally. You shouldn't be picking your own boss.
Well, for her involvement, yes, that's absolutely.
As for the school board, it would be a bias.
Pardon?
It would be a bias, like we can't pick another
For them
counselor.
to pick
Correct.
someone, but for them to be in on the discussion, would that be a bias?
Yes, because then they would be talking about who they wanted and didn't want.
That's right.
But the council's gonna vote on that,
Yeah, but.
and so,
Then the council gets influenced by their having a seat at the table deciding. So,
So like if I was on the school board, Louis is on the council, and they invite me to the meeting and I say, I want Sandra, not Wally. Because of
no,
X,
no,
Y,
no,
Z.
I don't mean to be that specific. I mean, I don't know what I mean.
I don't want to jump in and really downplay this discussion, but I am going to do it just from my perspective over here. We've been given legal advice that that's not how this
Yeah,
works.
you don't
Okay.
allow them to
So
come
we
into it.
just, that was not. the
It stays at
approach,
the
and
council level.
I
I'm,
don't feel that it should even be suggested to be changed.
I don't think that's what I think she's just asking
No,
why we haven't. And I think in the past, we have kept
We-
in
yeah.
contact with the school board and told them what we were doing and the processes we were at, but we didn't include them in discussions of candidates.
I remember how nasty it was last year. That's all I'm saying.
We might answer it saying it's totally a council action and consideration. But past practice has been, we reach out for information and we've considered, as she mentioned.
And that's
the
why,
person-
that's exactly,
Or somebody else had run and didn't get elected.
So yeah, so what the last time is we looked at the list of people that ran
Right.
and the people that decided they didn't no longer wanted to serve, we took them right off the list. We went to the next person who had the most votes. And we invited those people in for an interview. Everybody that was on that list,
Mhm,
we talked to them, we had a discussion. And then ultimately the council moved forward with who they thought would be the best fit.
And that's how we can explain it to her.
Yeah.
That
But
it's,
we do have a process at the council level.
but it's an informal one. It's the council's decision. The process can change with the next council.
Mhm,
Correct.
mhm.
That's
Okay.
just the last 3 years that I've been here, that's the process that we've done, the
Yeah.
3 or 4 times that we've done it. The second part is C19-405, additional language and appropriate. All right, let me see 405. The school board will have all the powers conferred and will perform all the duties imposed by law upon superintending school committees in regards to care and management of the public schools of the town of Millinocket. Except as otherwise provided in this charter, the school board will prepare budget estimates and details of the served sums required during the ensuing budget year of the support of the public schools. A draft budget will provide to the council and public prior to the school board budget workshop. Such budget will be approved by the town council prior to the beginning of the next school year. The town council will prescribe the time and place of the presentation of the school budget. And then there's a B section, but she's referring to the first part.
So she's agreeing with that language.
The language in blue seems appropriate as that is what we did this year, which was great. While I am unsure of the process in the past, this seems reasonable. Each time we had a new version to be considered by the school board, it was sent to the council. I am thinking this is what you were talking about.
Okay,
In past practices, it was not done. They did do it this year, which we were grateful for, but we want to make sure that in the future,
Yeah.
they do it every time.
Yep.
And she agrees.
but I don't think what they. My point in that whole section was that prior to them starting the budget workshops at the school level, that the public has a copy of that budget so they can know what to ask questions about.
I think she's agreeing with the council portion. I don't think she really made any comments about the public.
Yeah,
But it sounds like she's an overall agreement. So,
well,
then,
what we've got is good then.
405B, she asked what tabled meant. Are you looking for information from us? Would it make sense to align this list with our budget reporting? The information is all there, but the cost centers are labeled a bit differently. So that's the long list that we have,
Mhm.
And that's yes.
and that's exactly what she's asking the answer.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Yep.
yes, we want you to revamp this,
Yeah, to what it says today.
what you're doing today, how, what would be easy for you and for us to understand.
Can I,
Sure.
I should have asked this on the one before.
Mm.
A draft will be provided to the council and the public prior to school budget workshop. Do you want any kind of time frame put on that?
Well, be nice to have it.
A week before, or they can just choose to hand it to you before the meeting? If you don't put a time
I don't know.
frame in there.
I think common sense would say they'd give it to you before, the day before, but
Well, if they're giving it
And-
to you right before the meeting, to me, that seems like they're giving it to you during the meeting.
yeah, same idea. And then, and you can't comment unless they
Correct.
break their pattern.
So a draft budget will be provided to the counselors and public prior to school board meeting budget workshops within 1 week of, well, do they have to post? They have to post that, right?
They have, public notice, just like our meetings.
Okay, so within 1 week. of
Or,
public notice.
we sent out with public,
You know, I'm just
we
thinking,
sent out with a public notice.
everything's going very well with the school right now. But there may come a time when it doesn't. And do you want it spelled out? That's all I'm saying.
But we just
I did
had,
add it. I added
Okay.
sent out with public notice of workshop, which I think is a fair point. The next part she commented on was 405E. Yep. All filing of grants required cash flow encumbrance will require previous notification to the town manager and town treasurer. Her comments were just looking for a bit of clarification. Is the intent of this to be that we notify the manager and town treasurer when we submit a grant, when we are awarded a grant, and when we do not win an award?
oh, that's our new one.
Correct.
Hmm.
This is about notification in order for the town to be prepared. If it is about notification, I agree. This makes fiscal sense for all parties. I don't think if they're filing a grant, it wouldn't matter. It would be before they filed, right? Is that where you were going with that?
Yeah, it should be before, because if we have an issue with their plan and that grant that says the town will be, paying 20% as a
So it's during their,
share.
so it's during their
Committing us
intent
to
to
a
file.
share or to a cash flow issue like this last time.
Yeah.
Without telling us ahead of time. Because if we know ahead of time, we're gonna say, look, we're not willing to do that.
So it's during their intent to file. Okay, yeah. So she agrees then from how I read that. Next piece, 508 C23. We agree this is a solid matter. There is no reason to spend funds until auditor can put a solid number. That's in regards to the money left over from the fiscal
Unencumbered,
year needs
yeah.
to be audited.
So they agree that it'll be audited,
The reason it needs to be audited before it can be spent, yes.
but it's not nice. It's not what you're doing this last year.
Well, I don't think that was her confusion. I think it was accounting's confusion. And I think that got pulled in with the teachers, and the teachers ended up getting confused because the accountant was confused. And she walked into a bad mess.
Originally, but she created the next budget.
No, she created the last one we did. The one prior to that was the previous
That one.
superintendent, correct?
But the last one that we did, didn't she use up all the unencumbered carryover money?
Peter, do you remember?
Remember, well, that got caught up with the 650,000 that the audit raked them over the coals about.
But I think that was
I'm
because
gonna
the-
need you to restate.
Did this last budget, did she use for carryover funds up to the current year? Like last year's, which weren't audited, did she use those dollars as well as, well, just like, I know she used the, international program expected income in her budget. She did use that, and that's not a done deal till it's audited.
I don't remember the specifics right now. I'd have to research.
I know the not
I
last year,
just
but
don't remember those details off the top of my head.
the previous year they did. But remember, the accounting that left this year was also part in the budget making. And that was why when our audit team came in, they said if they walked into another mess like that. So I think
Oh.
that's part of it. And I think that's going to change this year, especially if it's in the charter.
Well, that won't happen for another year or so, whatever.
Right. 10 months.
That's something for you to think about. You have to research. Did her budget include current year international income? International program income? Because that's not a done deal till the program's done with the year.
Yeah,
not
I
audited.
believe it did.
I believe.
I listened to all of her
And did
budget
she
meetings.
use we're dealing with a 23-24 budget right now. Did
Well,
she-
I mean, like, we use. I mean, when you're talking about revenues, it's different than. In the same year, when you're using revenues, you're not using audited funds to offset. I mean, we use revenues like what we guess motor vehicle registration is,
That's expected.
that's coming in throughout the year, and we're using that to offset our expenditures.
Yeah,
The
but
use of unassigned funds, like the cash on hands, is what needs to be audited before it can.
Which we added to the charter. We added that part.
the problem with using carryover monies before they're audited, carryover funds, is that last year's aren't audited when we're doing the current year budget.
Oh, that I understand. I'm an expert in the leapfrog thing.
Yeah, okay, so
But
that,
what you,
but that thing can happen, the same thing with the international program. And it did happen one year when they lost 70 grand expected income out of it that year.
this is true. And if people don't register as many vehicles, or it's anticipated. That's one thing that used to get brought up that would grind our gears a lot, but it was a valid point. You know,
'Cause we do it.
we anticipate that the main revenue sharing is going to come in as projected, and we just learned that this last month, it came in a lot lower than expected.
You were higher last year, lower this year.
But we have
They're making up ground.
an amount of money in our revenues for this year based on projected to
Not much to fall short.
get.
But that does set the point. To get back,
No, it's the same point.
well, I meant, we're starting to fall off track.
The international program expected revenues
A done deal.
is not audited funds from the past.
But they do the same thing that we do.
In
Right.
many ways, yeah.
But I do agree where you're going with is that I agree with E that all of it should be accounted for before they can use it. So leapfrogging.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's what they should be doing.
yep, and I agree. And it was always a practice in the past. In the last superintendent we had, I don't know how that ball got dropped,
That superintendent connived a lot.
but that portion of it created a whole beast that should never have been a thing.
I don't say the one before the last.
The one before last, yeah.
He set up the foundation for all of this,
Correct. And it should have been carried on. in
but
how
he
it
was
supposed to happen.
leapfrogging well enough.
That's what I'm saying. He was doing it.
Well,
the
he
way
was
he was supposed to.
He got mucked up when he passed it on to his place.
That's what I'm saying. The ball got dropped somewhere. And I think having it in the charter will solidify that in the future, that an argument like that can't happen.
Okay,
Or shouldn't happen.
well, we've got it in there now.
Yeah.
And that's fine, so if they end up in trouble with the national program, we can point to the chart and say, look, that's a program that you should have audited before you spend money out of it.
This is what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
That's all I got. Those were her only comments.
Well, good, well, that's not bad.
No, I think overall it's, she makes some very fair points. She agrees with us on most parts. The only real question that she had was the budget piece, which is the part that we need to sit down and talk about. So the only thing we have left other than that is to meet with the majority of the committee and discuss how we want to lay out the wording for,
So should we be addressing those questions now or at the meeting?
I think it's best to do it at the meeting. That
Okay.
way they can
I'm with you on that,
give us comments after.
because we'll start a whole thing of discussion outside the meeting, which is not.
Correct. And I think
Okay,
it's
so
best to have the
you're
public
talking about
involved.
the meeting with the school board.
Right.
Correct.
So that's going to be next Thursday, the 14th at 3:00, if I'm right.
Peter,
Correct.
you were in on this line of discussion.
The only question is where, I think she said.
She knows it's here.
I emailed her privately and I said, in the town manager's office, and I had Peter.
We decided, I believe, 15th at 3,
15th at 3.
Okay,
The 15th at 3?
Friday.
Oh,
Yeah. it's like-
okay, because I wrote it
Looked terrible
down as
time
the
that
4th, because the last email I have was the 14th.
for the 15th of 3.
I'm looking right now.
That's a first day of Hispanic heritage. I don't know if I can make it.
You got
I
it.
hope I didn't.
Really? Android encountered.
The 14th at 3 o'clock is what you said, Peter. If we stick to business, I can make the 14th at 3 o'clock work. I will be leaving town by 5 that day. The 20th is a no-go for me.
Yeah, and I think I got that because it was one of the options below.
Cool.
So you were right. It's the 14th at 3 o'clock.
Okay,
Charter.
Do you have a
review.
council meeting that day?
yes,
Friday.
The 14th?
15th, Friday.
The 14th is what we're talking, because you said the 14th is at 3 o'clock, which is a council week. So at 3 o'clock would be right before.
Wait a
Yeah.
minute.
When did this happen? Hang on.
that's, yeah, that's what the last email I got was the 14th. And I wrote it up, I'm getting senile. I have
No,
to
you're
write-
not getting to, you
I
were
have to
right.
write everything down.
No, you're absolutely right. 14th is council.
I'm assuming I need to run the council meeting.
Yeah,
No, I'm gonna be here. I thought we were talking about Friday.
Oh, okay.
Friday,
even 14th,
I'm gonna be leaving.
the 14th at 3 would work.
It'd be right before the meeting. Yeah.
It would, so long as I go up.
So is that what
earlier
we're
in the
agreeing
day
on?
and
Thursday, the
set it
14th
up.
at 3?
Well, I didn't look. I had this open. Yes, I can still do that. I just need to make sure.
2.5 hours, we're not gonna do that.
I just need to make sure the council stuff is set up.
It should be a short meeting. There's only 4 things and 2 of them she agreed with. So.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm glad they did what they said they did.
Well, I can always excuse myself. Certain things.
Yep.
Yeah, we can keep that. I'm
Okay,
embarrassed.
14 to 13.
It's a simple scheduling mistake. It's fine.
Charter review.
And I'll have, hopefully the meeting's done by Friday. My week doesn't get scrambled like this week.
Yeah, but you still can't really, the last meeting you can do, but without Richard Angotti's report and without this.
This-
fees.
Making the
We
minutes for
can't.
this meeting will be massively easy.
Yes,
Our whole discussion was on tables. So.
Well,
The meeting adjourned.
whether if he comes across with any information or not, we'll add.
Yeah, we don't need his information anymore.
That's right.
We did, because I redacted my tabled items.
oh, okay,
So I would want to do what Louis said instead, and instead add a portion in there that talks about.
okay, so that
Review
table
time.
item is done then.
Correct.
Oh, good.
Well, there's a new tabled item on it now, which is adding a requirement that the code be updated and gone through once every 10 years, is my recommendation.
So I'll take out for research results.
Yep.
And then we'll just,
Whether it be done,
it stays tabled. And I'm
whether it
gonna
be
know
done through a committee or by a professional outside group.
Timing and that. I don't know if there's a charter review section there, but we can mention both. Because there's no charter review timetable here.
Could we just not put it under the code section? And just put code book, or, yeah, the code book needs to be updated once every 10 years by committee or outside help, professional help, or. So under Article 7,
Article 7, right?
zoning ordinance, Board of Appeal, municipal, nope, so add like a C704 and put code book must be gone through once every 10 years by committee or outside professional help. I don't know how to word that exactly.
You can work on it
Well,
when we get there.
we already had put in,
That was my first recommendation.
so we're just going to forget that and replace it.
Replace it with C704.
Yeah.
I gotta think about it. I gotta find out what the correct wording is for it, but it's gonna be along the line, code book will be gone through once every 10 years.
Comprehensive plan.
Will be
You might as well
reviewed.
see what it says in state law, 5 years.
Yeah, 5, 10 years, something like that. I'll go through the MRSA and find out what the my plan states. I think you're right. I think it's every 5 years. So, but yeah, so I'll,
Could be something in here about revaluation now that I think about it, having gone through.
Yeah.
6 years of waiting for it to get to where it is now, and now it's still being dragged.
true. And maybe that's a discussion we can have afterwards and just send it as like a recommendation for the council for
Order.
an order for an addition. Because then if it goes to a public vote, it's just that one item.
You know, let's read the law on the state law and then mirror that.
That's a good idea. I agree. Yeah, because all you would have to do is copy and paste it. Or state revaluation will correspond by state law every XYZ amount of years, unless otherwise changed.
There you go.
So maybe we can do that too. I don't know. But that's a very good point. That's all I got.
Cool. Anybody want a motion to get out of it?
A motion we get out of here.
Well, that's good enough. To vote.
Well, 2 of you voted. That's enough.
Alrighty.
I like the idea, they say you don't have to follow Robert's rules, that's good for me.
Yeah,
But hey, what the heck? Like the law pointed out, final say and discussion occurs in front of the council anyway.
That's a good point.
No matter what wackadoo idea you come up with.
I am excited for this to be over though. I'm very happy.
Meeting over?
Oh. I'm very happy